She didn't leave America because she missed home. She left because the American dream she fought for on the K-1 visa quietly stopped feeling like a dream at all. I know that sounds dramatic, but when you rewind the footage of 90 Day Fiancé and really watch Yara, Zaya, and Jovi Dufren from the beginning, you realize something most fans completely missed. TLC framed it as culture clash. Party boy husband, Ukrainian bride adjusting to Louisiana life, cute baby, typical franchise tension. But here's the part TLC cameras didn't show. By the time Yara even stepped off that plane on her K-1 visa, she had already sacrificed more than viewers understood. She left behind friends, her mother, her country, her language, and walked into a version of America that looked nothing like the glossy Instagram posts Jovi used to sell her on New Orleans nightlife. And if you followed her from 90 Day Fiancé Happily Ever After, you know the cracks were visible early. Jovi was still clinging to Bourbon Street energy, strip clubs, bachelor vibes, offshore job that kept him gone for weeks. Meanwhile, Yara was suddenly pregnant in a country where she barely had support. This is where the 90-day dream quietly fell apart. Because the show told us the conflict was about partying. But I know couples argue about that all the time. That's normal. So why would that make someone leave the United States after fighting so hard for a green card? Listen to this. Reddit threads started picking up subtle details during season 7. Fans noticed how often Yara said she felt alone. Not annoyed, not angry, alone. That word kept repeating. And it wasn't just when Jovi was offshore. It was in everyday conversations, even when he was home. And here's the twist most casual viewers missed. Yara didn't just want Jovi to stop partying. She wanted stability, roots, a plan. But Jovi? He was still living like the pre-marriage version of himself. Around the 2-minute mark of their happily ever after, you could see the shift. Yara stopped arguing loudly. She started withdrawing. And if you've watched enough of this franchise, you know that's never a good sign. Before we go deeper, if you're the kind of fan who rewatches episodes to catch the facial expressions TLC tries to edit out, you're in the right place. Subscribe and join this little corner of the interview where we talk about what really happened, not just what we can find cut. Now let's get into the part that changed everything. When Russia invaded Ukraine in 2022, Yara's world flipped overnight. Her family was directly involved. Her mother was in Europe. Suddenly, the American dream felt disconnected from reality. She wasn't just a reality TV star anymore. She was a daughter watching her homeland at war. And this is where fan reactions split hard. On Twitter, X, some viewers accused her of using the situation to push Jovi into moving to Europe. Others said, of course she wants to be near her mother during a war. Who wouldn't? The 90-day subreddit became a battlefield. Was she abandoning the US? Or was she choosing emotional survival? But here's the detail that made longtime fans pause. Yara didn't just visit you. She started talking seriously about buying property there. And Jovi looked blindsided. That wasn't in the original American life plan. Remember how much effort went into the K-1 visa? Paperwork, the interviews, the financial sponsorship requirements? Pressure to marry within 90 days. That process isn't just romantic. It's transactional, exhausting. Couples crumble all the time, and they survive it. So why pivot after finally getting stability? Because stability never actually arrived. I know they had a house in Louisiana, a baby, a steady income, Jovi's offshore job, influence plans. That sounds stable. Emotional stability? That's different. Yara had built an online business, fashion drops, beauty promotions. She was making her own money. For the first time, she didn't need to depend on Jovi financially. This changed the power dynamic. And if you go back and watch the scenes where she discusses buying an apartment in Prague, there's something subtle. She's calm, determined, almost detached from Jovi's opinion. Fans speculated she was building a backup plan, not necessarily to divorce him, but to never feel trapped again. Because here's the truth most people ignore. The K-1 visa puts the immigrant partner in a vulnerable position. You're in a new country. Your legal status is tied to your spouse at first. Your social circle is limited.
If things go bad, where do you go? Yara knew that feeling early in their marriage, so when she pushed to spend more time in Europe, it wasn't just homesickness, it was security, emotional and logistical. But this is where the tension exploded. Jovi started questioning her loyalty to the US. He made comments about how they built a life in America, how their daughter was American, and in one particularly tense conversation, he implied she was being ungrateful. That moment changed the tone, because gratitude shouldn't be weaponized in a marriage, and fans noticed. Clips circulated on Instagram. Why does he keep bringing up the green card, people asked. Does he think she owes him forever? Now here's a curiosity gap that shook the fandom. A leaked screenshot from a fan account claimed Yara had consulted a European real estate agent months before telling Jovi on camera. Was it true? Hard to verify, but the timing felt strategic. And if that's accurate, it means she was planning quietly, not impulsively. Meanwhile, Jovi's job kept him gone for weeks at a time. Offshore rotations, long absences. Yara essentially became a single parent during those stretches. In Europe, she had her mother. In Louisiana, she had FaceTime. This is where the emotional cost adds up. The show edited it as should we buy an apartment overseas? But underneath that storyline was something heavier. Yara didn't feel rooted in the US, she felt parked there. And when you feel parked instead of planted, you eventually move. By the time they appeared on 90 Day The Last Resort, their issues weren't just about strip clubs anymore. It was deeper resentment, communication breakdowns, trust cracks, different visions of the future. And here's what the TLC never said out loud. America was Jovi's comfort zone. Europe was Yara's. So when they left the US for extended periods, it wasn't a random lifestyle choice. It was a negotiation of identity. Fans are divided to this day. Some say Yara manipulated the situation to slowly shift their home base. Others argue Jovi never fully adjusted to being a husband and father in the first place. But let me ask you something. If your partner worked offshore for weeks, partied hard when home, and dismissed your need for family support during a war, would you feel secure? That's the part that rarely gets discussed. And remember, Yara's independence grew over time. The more her brand expanded, the less dependent she became on Louisiana life. That changes everything in a marriage that started with one partner sponsoring the other. Power shifts are uncomfortable. Now here's another detail buried in plain sight. When Yara talks about Europe, she lights up. When Jovi talks about New Orleans nightlife, he lights up. Their joy points don't overlap the way they used to. That's not about geography, that's about alignment. Some fans believe the move wasn't permanent at first, more like extended stays, testing waters. But emotionally, it felt like Yara reclaiming her own narrative. And maybe that's the real reason they left the US. Not because America failed them, but because the version of America they built together stopped fitting who they were becoming. The K-1 visa story is supposed to end in a happily ever after. Green card secured, house, baby, American stability. But no one talks about what happens when the immigrant partner evolves faster than the American one. This is where the 90-day dream gets complicated. Because leaving the US after fighting to get there sounds contradictory, but growth is messy. Trauma reshapes priorities. War changes perspective. Motherhood shifts identity. And maybe, just maybe, Yara realized that success wasn't staying in Louisiana to prove something to viewers. Maybe success was building options. The internet is still arguing. Some say Jovi will never fully relocate long-term. Others predict they'll settle in Europe eventually. A few think this is just the slow unraveling before a future separation announcement. But here's the emotional question that keeps resurfacing in fan circles. Did they leave the US together, or did Yara emotionally leave first? Because those are two very different stories. If Jovi eventually decides he can't give up his Louisiana roots, what happens then? Does Yara compromise again, or does she choose proximity to her family and her own sense of security? This isn't just about geography, it's about who sacrifices more. And in the 90-day universe, we've seen how that imbalance ends. So I want to know what you think. Was leaving the US a strategic power move by Yara? A necessary emotional reset after everything her home country endured? Or the first sign that their marriage is living on borrowed time? Because if they had to choose, America or Europe, which one would they actually choose over each other? Drop your take below. I'm reading every comment.